This episode is sponsored by Jacobson Real Estate Company. Are you ready to find your dream home? Or maybe you're thinking about selling and want the best deal possible? Well, look no further. At Jacobson Real Estate Company, we make buying or selling your home smooth, stress-free, and exciting. With 50 plus years of experience and a deep knowledge of the Winona, Minnesota area market, we specialize in turning your real estate goals into reality. Whether it's finding that perfect neighborhood, negotiating top dollar for your property, or answering all of your questions along the way, we're here for you. Plus, with our personalized approach, you're not just a client, you're family. So why wait? Let Jacobson Real Estate Company open the door to your future. Call us today at 507-313-2716 or visit our website at jacobsonrealestatecompany.com. Because your next chapter starts here. Buy, sell, invest. Jacobson Real Estate Company. Welcome to this week's edition of Brews Cruise. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and today joining me is Cynthya Porter, someone who has been deeply involved in Winona's tourism scene and has firsthand experience with how decisions behind the scenes can shape, help, or hurt a community. Cynthya has spent years working to elevate local businesses, engage the public, and build real momentum around tourism in Winona. In this episode, we talk openly about what's changed, what's been lost, and why transparency and community involvement matter now more than ever. We also are going to dive into the current boathouse situation, which is a hot topic, and what that could mean for downtown and also future tourism in Winona. So, Cynthia, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And you requested some Trulies. I don't think we've ever had Trulies, so I got a party pack, a citrus party pack, so you get to choose your flavor, and we have plenty of them, so feel free to...
I don't think we're going to make it through that.
I don't think we're going to make it through it, no.
I'm going to take a grapefruit.
Take grapefruit. I'll take the orange citrus squeeze. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, cheers. First, we'll cheers. Wow. That's okay.
Party foul.
Party foul. Well, Cynthia, thank you for coming on in. And I'm glad we actually met like last week. You came over and
actually. That was so random.
I know.
It was really random.
Well, you came over to us at the River City Grill. And you said, "Oh, I love hearing babies talk," and that was our daughter, and we happened to be there.
What a beautiful girl!
Thank you.
Oh my God, seriously.
And she's been on the podcast already.
I hope she talked as much as she was in the restaurant that night.
She made a coup, and that was about it.
Oh,
that's about where it ended. But yeah, that was kind of ironic running into you because there's a lot going on in Winona, and you are. I don't know. Are you Winona's marketing specialist? I feel because
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
I think I've had that job for long enough that I think I can own that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I remember seeing all your videos coming up when you would be going to different businesses within Winona. Yeah. For those who are listening right now, this is basically going to be based on Winona, Minnesota, but it is going to be an aspect of marketing and stuff of that nature. So if you don't know what Winona is, actually, Cynthia made a viral post calling us the Miami of Minnesota. Is that correct?
It is.
So what is your background then specifically? I'd rather you start off with your background and what you have for a degree and where it all started.
Well, my degree was in communications, but then my minor is in is called creative business communications. And I left college without finishing my degree, which ended up being a blessing, 1,000 years ago or whenever that was, because then when I got really serious that it was time to finish it, it was just at the doorstep of Facebook, and I don't even think Instagram existed yet.
Nope.
But there was no schooling at all for how to bring a business into those social media platforms with video and with posts. They didn't have Facebook Live at that time. I mean, it was the Wild West of the internet. And I mean, it was like MySpace, Facebook. I think that was about it.
Those were.
Yeah. And so I was able to individualize a minor for my degree. I already had I had probably 25 or 30 more credits than I needed for my communications major, but I skipped the hard stuff like biology, stuff like that I was not interested in until it was time to, get serious about that. And so, but the good thing was then I was getting experience with Visit Winona doing their digital marketing, and what I found is that there was really no platform for help at all. And so I was able to individualize a minor that focused on how to do, for lack of a better way to call it, in whatever that was, 2009, 10, 11, 12, creative business marketing. And so different than a actual marketing degree, but my first job out of college, when I hadn't even graduated, because I had so much communications, I really wanted to go into advertising.
Okay.
And so my first job was at an advertising agency. And, through a series of events, I got married, and my then husband was brought to Winona by EMD, if you remember them. It's now Benchmark.
Oh, okay. All right, we know Benchmark.
Yeah. And so, I had to regroup, right? Because we didn't know anyone in Winona at all. And so I started off, I went down this weird kind of side path. I had a lot of experience running venues, managing events, managing venues. And so I was the food service director at St. Mary's University for a while. I was the director at Westville Golf Club, the Anderson House in Wabasha. And then I realized, I hate food service. I just hate it.
It's not my favorite either.
Yeah. When you're working, everyone else is playing, and
Yes.
so this is when you want to be with your family. And so anyway, I left that. And I started a job at the Winona Post writing, because as a communications person with 5,000 credits, I had a pretty deep history with writing. And and that was really one of my first loves. So I wrote for them for 10 years. But at that time, Visit Winona approached me and said, you know what, we need someone to start writing a blog for us. And that was Pat Mutter and Mary Farrell were the only people at Visit Winona at that time. And so they approached me, I think it was about 2008, and said, can we contract you to start writing a blog for us? And so I did, and I called the blog Why Everyone Loves Winona. And that's where I started with Visit Winona. And so I was writing that blog for them, but then they got to about 2012-ish and realized that they really needed to jump into the digital marketing space, but just didn't know where to start with it.
Sure.
To be fair, no one really knew.
Right.
Nobody was an expert at that time. And so I just, they added to a contract for me that brought in the digital marketing piece. And I did that for several years for them, really. It was evolving to the point where they had an agency at the time, but they wanted to bring more of that work in-house. And so I was a contract worker for them, but gradually taking over more and more and more of the agency's work until we got to about, I think it was 2017, and we had an agency at the time. It wasn't going great, and to be brutally honest, the work that the previous agency had been doing, the one that was there when I came in and started doing it, it was very cookie cutter. They used the same, like this ripped parchment paper header, and nothing changed at all. Like they would run these little quarter-page ads and these same magazines, and for all of the years that I was there, the marketing plan never changed, and it was all in the hands of that agency. So finally, we got to 2017, and the leadership wanted to let go of the agency that we had. And so it turned to me and said, what do you think? Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And so that was where it started. And then everything that happened after that was we started the Facebook Live series in 2018. 2019, I started dipping our toes into the Miami of Minnesota as a concept just for some winter marketing. And it went bananas, absolutely bananas. And so then started trying to find ways to evolve that into like year-round marketing. How do you take, our first ad was a girl in a swimsuit holding on to a flamingo pool float.
I remember that.
Yeah, and there were two guys, and they're real guys. I was at the lake one day, and I saw them swimming. They do the Kalhoff?
Kalhoff?
No,
Nope.
the winter swimming thing.
Ew, that doesn't sound fun, though.
No,
Sounds terrible.
It was March, and there was just snow everywhere, and these guys were wading into the water. So I took a few photos of them, and then I reached out later and I asked, like, do you mind? Can I use this? And so with Photoshop, created this very funny ad of this girl with this, swimsuit and the flamingo and the two guys in the water, and just said like, winter's more fun in the Miami of Minnesota. Come play with us, and it kind of broke the internet a little bit because nobody in tourism marketing was having fun with it except Iceland. Iceland does great campaigns. Ugh, I want Iceland. Yeah, go look them up. Like, they are crazy but hilarious, and they because they take risks. They take big risks.
Sure.
The Miami of Minnesota was a big risk too. It took some, convincing to the board, and Pat Mutter, who I bless that woman's heart. She really believed in me that I could get this done, and we did. So that became our brand in 2019, and then COVID just knocked us right off of our feet. Everybody in tourism, because we just basically shut down. My contract went down to like 4 hours a week, and and just basically staying alive at that point in time.
Sure.
Just trying to reassure people, like, yep, we're still here. Winona's still here. Let's stay connected on the internet because you can't come here right now.
Yeah.
But the biggest risk that I ever took was then coming out of COVID, when everybody had money that had been stored up. But we didn't have that much because Winona continued to, pay its staff and not just contractors, but the staff, worked through that entire time. And so I felt like, God, the world is so serious right now. I mean, COVID was hard. And so I felt like for us but tourism was starting to come back a little bit, but you can't compete with that noise, right? Everybody's got money. Everybody's splashing out these, huge campaigns. And so I would rather be smart than be rich when it comes to marketing. And so we launched our Gator universe.
I remember that.
On April Fool's Day, and I did that on April Fool's Day.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it was good cover, so I didn't get fired.
Well, yeah, because the risk of that, if you do it on April Fool's, at least you're like, oh, no, it's an April Fool's joke, folks. And obviously it is because we don't have gators here. But I remember hearing about that. I'm like, what is going on? What is being talked about here? So I remember that. And how I really remember is those brochure guides, the visitor guides that would be at like hotels and stuff. Yeah. I remember seeing that, and I'll post a photo here too. So, but yeah, it was like you see a person in, like you said, flamingo, lifesaver. You saw, I think it was a guy in a swimsuit with maybe floaties on, and there's like maybe a kid riding an alligator or something like that.
That was one of our visitor guide covers.
Yes. And so I remember that because what I would do is I would go into the back and I'd find like the buy one beer, get one free at Island City back in the day. So I remember seeing that a lot. Yeah. So that was a risk that you took then?
It paid off like in spades. We had, from the point that we came out of COVID, well, actually from the point... Oh, it was so sad. I mean, we were on this trajectory that was great when we started the Miami, Minnesota, and then COVID kind of took us down. But between 2019 and when I left this past June, we had almost every year. I think one year was a little bit less, but we had record-setting lodging numbers, lodging receipts, and that's how Visit Winona is funded.
Sure. Is people,
you get like 4 cents off of $1 that goes to fund the tourism organization in town. So, yeah, it was. I mean, our budget went from, I don't know, it was probably like $450,000. By the time I left, it was over $600,000.
Oh, wow, that's a pretty big jump then, for sure.
Really, 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 really important for Winona.
So now I understand, because you sent me your resume, you have won awards for your work. What are some of the major ones, just for people to know that people would maybe even recognize?
Well, the Miami, Minnesota. Okay. That was a winner. I was named Minnesota's tourism trailblazer, and it's because of some of the, and this was This was before the Miami of Minnesota, actually, but
Okay.
I had been doing other things like the Facebook Lives, which is really kind of bizarrely groundbreaking. You know, other organizations just weren't doing it that way. Like our Facebook Lives could ask people, where should we go next week? And then people would post in the comments,
Right.
we'd get emails, we'd get phone calls, and then based on kind of the crowd support, we would go to that place. So those people made me climb Sugarloaf. I had to go ice climbing.
You go ice climbing?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I don't think I would want to do that
Oh,
one.
yeah, it was rough. It was, I mean, but it was a lot of fun because I had to milk a cow at a dairy farm once. I mean, just whatever, you know, and so I won several awards for the Facebook Live, but also then that was part of the reason I got the Tourism Trailblazer from the state of Minnesota for just being out there, you know, breaking the mold. Because if you want to, if you look at tourism ads, they all look the same. Everybody's got a lake or a river, or they've got a golf course.
Sure.
People having a happy lunch on a patio with glasses of wine. You know, everyone's got that. Bike trails. And so you have to break out of that sameness if you really want to get attention. And that's what we did.
Oh, so did someone nominate you, or did they pick it up and say, hey, Cynthia's doing all this over in Winona?
Yeah. Well, the Tourism Trailblazer, actually, a marketing professor from Visit Winona nominated me for that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
So how'd you feel when you won that?
It's shocked. I mean, I just was,
Was it something you weren't expecting?
I really didn't expect it. It was the first one, actually. They've only given out 2 of them, and I was the first one. And so, I just really didn't know that was going to happen, but it felt pretty great. And I also won at that award. I also won, I think, something for the Facebook Live. I've won awards for the Gator Universe.
Yeah. Gator Universe.
For MiamiMinnesota.com. You can go you can chronicle the whole bit of madness, which, thank God, people, I was so scared when we put that out there. I just thought, what is going to happen? And to be honest, I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it. I didn't tell Pat Mutter. I didn't tell the board. I just was like, I would rather ask for forgiveness than permission, because it sounds so crazy that they would just be like, I'm not sure. But it was a gamble and it worked. Because,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we just got, we've got in the metrics for that, over 5 million interactions on, between the website and our social posts for it and the way it's been shared. Yeah, people like to laugh. That's the whole thing.
They really do, and that's the one thing we say, Miami of Minnesota. Now, when my wife and I traveled on our honeymoon to Vancouver, and they said that was the Miami of Canada. Now, I don't know. I think it's just because it's warmer on that side of Canada. But how did you decide Miami of Minnesota? Was there something behind it?
I had heard kind of some local lore that people would joke about that.
Okay.
And here's why. Because we are... Well, according to Weather Almanac, we are the warmest city in Minnesota.
I've heard that
average.
before.
And for years and years and years, I don't know why. I don't know why it's not La Crescent. They're just a little further south than we are.
They're such a small town, though. Maybe that's why. At least Winona's got some sort of 30,000-ish people.
I don't know. No, I mean, it's literally what is your aggregate temperature. And so we are the warmest city in the state. We also happen to be located on the border of our state, exactly where Miami is in Florida. If you look at if you look at a map, there's Miami, there's Winona.
Sure.
And so then we started running some ads like, coincidence? We don't think so.
That's great.
It was a lot of fun.
Now, the one thing I do remember from your Facebook Lives is that when I was even younger, back in probably the early 2000s, Joyce Woodworth had a show on, I think it was HBC or something.
Yep.
I think it was kind of similar to that. But obviously she would probably, and I don't remember all these episodes, I just remember it happening, but she obviously wasn't able to go, oh, where should we go next, and have live interactions with people saying, this is what you should do next, this is what you should do next. So that was really cool. And you also had a partner with you, Todd Hansen, right?
Yeah, Todd Hansen. So starting in 2018, the board funded a marketing assistant for me, because if I was going to do all my other stuff and take on all the agency work, it wouldn't be possible for me to even do that. So I went through a handful of different marketing assistants. My most recent one was Todd Hansen. Loads of fun. Oh my gosh, he's such a funny guy because he's really, really deadpan, but in a very quirky, funny way. And so we just had a really good chemistry for doing the podcast. So we started doing those podcasts,
Yep.
and we would go to a different place every week. We tried on a Monday usually and go for happy hour, and we'd have a cocktail, which we got in trouble for. They're like, you shouldn't be drinking when you're okay. All right. And so,
But what if it's a local bar or brewery?
that's where we were. That's where every one of them was, I mean, it was the happy hour. We would
Sure.
call it the happy hour. We called it Winona Fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And the podcast still exists, actually. I personally am paying to maintain it on a podcast platform because,
Oh, really?
I mean, leadership changes at Visit Winona
They've changed, I assume?
well, Pat Mutter retired.
Okay.
She retired at the end of March after, I think, about 18 years of being
Okay.
in that seat.
Okay.
And so the executive director position changed, and their ideas about what was good started to change.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that led to the end of my contract there,
Oh, so they just ended your contract.
right?
Oh,
Right.
well, because I realized after a while, I'm like, well, I don't see these live from Winona's anywhere anymore. And I was wondering, I kind of wondered what happened to it, but
That's what happened, and yeah, I feel like it's a shame, I really do. I'm not going to mince words about that. I feel like it's been a backslide because the girl who became the executive director was my colleague there for like 12 years.
Okay.
And we had this conversation beforehand when Pat was going to retire, and because I mean, I think that a lot of people would have agreed I was sort of the heir apparent for that position. I was doing a lot of the administrative work. I was creating all the policies. I wrote all of our use policies, our web policies, our photo policies,
Sure.
and was kind of the creative machine where Kate was doing partnership work with partners. But Kate told me that she was going to put in for the executive director job, and I had this pause where I thought, I really like what I'm doing for Visit Winona, but if I went also for the job and I beat her for the job, then there would be this tension,
Sure,
that would
sure.
be uncomfortable.
Understandable.
And Kate and I had a conversation where she had said she felt confused why it seemed like there were some people on the board, I don't really know who, I have an idea, a couple, who were just pushing against me, and I don't know why, but maybe they just didn't like the brand of marketing, except the brand of marketing was really, really successful, so I can't explain why, but Kate told me, she said, I don't know why they're wanting to review your contract in June, because I would want to keep working with you. If I got this job, I would want to keep working. So I was like recommending her. I was helping, giving her great praise to the hiring committee for the job, and I did not apply for it. Because I thought, oh, that's cool. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm really like, a few weeks after she got the position, she told me she was ending my contract.
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay.
And so it caused some angst,
animosity for
I
sure.
I was upset. I didn't say anything except I did. It was her and a board member named Marcia Radcliffe, who was the board chair, who I had really. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not going to mince words with you about this. I felt like she didn't like me, and I just didn't even know her. I
Sure.
had no idea why. But yeah, they sat me down in a meeting and were just like, no, it's not going to be like this. And so I posted in a closed post on Facebook. I said, I'm so hurt right now. And it was not left public. It was private. And I went through and I tried to exclude people who I thought, I really just needed to I live alone. I didn't have like a husband or a child I could go home and cry on their shoulder. And so I just, to my Facebook family, which was pretty compact,
Sure.
I just wanted to say, like, I'm really hurt right now, and I felt betrayed. And that's it. Like, I didn't swear. I didn't call her names. I just said, I'm really feeling hurt. But then I missed a couple of people in the excluding, and then it got back to her, and it was the next day that then I became persona non grata. And so I never was invited to another meeting at Visit Winona. They still had 5 weeks on my contract.
Okay.
Yeah, when she told me she was going to cancel it, it was just like,
I feel like a stab in the back possibly.
Well,
there.
The thing is, I mean, I am a middle-aged woman who had a high-level marketing job, and so to turn around in 6 weeks and replace that job, actually, I don't even think it was 6 weeks. I think it was closer to 5 weeks, was just impossible. I mean,
Sure.
Those jobs are just not really available readily. And so, yeah, I was pretty traumatized by it. I felt bad, and I think Kate knew that, but this, that was a really tough situation because more than anything, I love this city so much.
I know. Yeah.
And so everything I did was just from my heart, trying to make this city glow. And I feel like, oh, man.
Did they ever say why? Why they terminated your contract at all?
No.
No, just said we're not going to renew it, and that's that. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it was put like this. I think somebody thought I made too much money, and I'm not sure if they actually reviewed kind of the agency work I was doing to decide that, because when we were paying an agency, like $135 for the cheapest copywriter at the agency, and so what they were paying me was half that.
Sure.
For work that I was doing on contract. So, and it wasn't the quality of the work. The work was great. We're winning awards. We're like, record lodging. I think it was just, I don't know. Maybe it was a control issue. If you worked with somebody for so long, that they don't feel like they can be your boss.
Sure, okay.
I kind of felt
understandable.
Like maybe that was some of it, but I'm a little bit headstrong, and I'm really confident about what I was doing, and I wonder if how that played into it.
Okay,
it might have been part.
Now, you did Visit Winona and your series. Did that win awards too, like your lives and all that?
Yeah, we won awards for those.
So to me, that would be really hard to say, hey, you did such a good job, but we're not going to renew your contract.
I mean, it didn't make sense. Well, and so what they wanted to do was pay less money. They wanted to hire someone full-time on, like, as a staff person. I would have gone as a staff person, but they still had to pay a reasonable amount for the caliber work.
Sure.
And so that wasn't really an opportunity for a conversation, where I had been told in the year previous that yes, any changes to the contract would be conversations that included me, because I had been there longer than Kate, except that she got converted to a full-time position and I was still a contract position.
Okay.
Which worked fine for me. I could, I had a couple of other gigs here and there that I was also working at. So I liked being able to make my own hours, do the work. But yeah, the change to me, because it came with no conversation about here's what we'd like, so they hired a gal quite a bit younger than me and for quite a lot less, actually, less than what I was making. And I think that was just kind of an internal decision that didn't really have anything to do with me. Exactly. It didn't have anything to do with the work, for sure.
Maybe it was financially is all I could think of. If it was no, okay.
No.
Well, I tried to make some sense of it.
Thank you. No, it wasn't. It wasn't
Okay.
because now they're hiring an agency.
Okay. So they're back to the agency portion again. Everything they went
Right.
from to you, and now they're back to the agency, helping them do advertising. Is that right?
I guess so.
Okay. Now, the one thing I have a question of is I looked on their Facebook and I don't see any of your videos anymore.
It's funny you bring that up, Chris.
Well, yeah. So I was kind of wondering. I just assumed that they would, they archive. I don't know how that works nowadays. And I know you said they're
Yeah.
lives, and I know that people have also said that their Facebook's or their whatever content. They say that they delete after 30 days, which I've seen that pop up on my feed saying, "Hey, this will delete after 30 days." But yours were back a long time ago. So,
Right.
do you know any more about that? Like, is
I
that part of it? What happened
do.
at all, or?
Well,
is that-
that's been really recent. I actually was updating a resume and so was looking at some of the metrics for our Facebook Lives. I mean, we would get like 40,000 impressions pretty routinely. Not for all of them, for sure. But it wasn't unusual at all to have like that much exposure for us. And so I wanted to pull some of those metrics out for a resume that I was preparing. And I went there, and this is about 2.5 weeks ago or something, because they had been there before. They were there a couple months ago, and I went there and they were all gone. All the Facebook Lives, all the videos, all the podcasts, everything was gone. So Facebook did start saying last February, hey, we're going to start shortening the amount of time that these Facebook Lives can stay in our system. I'm sure that it's just a massive amount of storage needed to
Sure.
store all those Facebook Lives forever. Yeah. And so what they said is, starting in whichever month, I think June, starting in June, if you do a Facebook Live, it's only going to be there for 30 days.
Okay.
Except that was not consistent. They did not roll that out consistently across their entire platform. They were just kind of letting you know that they could delete it in 30 days, but they weren't. They absolutely weren't, because I was going back in September and I could see Facebook Lives that I had done. So the other thing is that the other Facebook Lives were in just archived. They'd been there since 2018 when we first started doing it. And Facebook had also said, or Meta had also said, that they didn't have a really good plan for how they were going to address the archived Facebook Lives. I mean, their biggest announcement was going forward, this is how we're going to treat them. But for the archives, they were still kind of figuring out how they were going to do it. So Facebook did not delete those.
Okay.
And also, a lot of our Facebook Lives over the years had to be shot as video and uploaded because we didn't have a cell phone signal,
Right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and so they were videos. So Facebook has not deleted any videos, but Visit Winona deleted all of them.
Oh, that's too bad.
I mean, I don't understand it. If I'm honest, I really don't understand it. First of all, I have them all. I downloaded all of them.
So how'd you download them? Did you just take them off Facebook and just push download, or how'd you do
and
it?
some of them lived on my phone because we shot all that with my phone.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so a lot of it lived on my phone, but ones that didn't, for whatever reason, I downloaded them, and so I'm going to re-upload them.
Well, I looked at it and I thought I saw some on YouTube, or was that from before?
Yeah, so the YouTube that was an archive where we had been uploading them to YouTube. But here's the thing. We have 22,000 followers on Facebook. I mean they now, not we. I'm not a we there. They have 22,000 followers on Facebook, which is about the number of followers we had when I left.
Okay.
And that was, in the end of June. And so on YouTube, we have 314 followers. Like, that's not a platform. That's a platform to store videos.
Sure.
Where we could link from our website. It has to be somewhere on the internet, right? But we weren't doing any active marketing at all with YouTube. And so that was not a place where people were consuming those videos at all.
Sure.
And so, one of the board members, very shockingly to me, one of the board members made that comment and said, well, here's a link to all the videos on YouTube. And my reply was, but that's not a marketing platform for us the way that it sits right now. It's just not. It's a marketing platform for other purposes. We've done YouTube marketing, but not with these Facebook Lives or the podcasts. You know, they were intended for Facebook. They lived on Facebook, and we would get 40,000 views, whereas we'd get like 4. On YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. It's just not the same. It's not the same at all.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing a live, you can interact and like click on it. Because I remember I'd be scrolling through, and all of a sudden I'd see a live. I'm like, oh, where are they at today? And then I would watch it for a little bit and say, oh, okay. I think I was actually there the day you did it at Island City, I think when it was Island City. Or maybe it was when it was changed over to 2 Fathoms. So I remember I would see you out and about, but then I would see at some of the downtown events in the summer and stuff of that nature. To me, it was a little bit more interactive because sometimes YouTube is not like it's almost like a worldwide thing. Whereas Facebook, if you like Winona, Visit Winona's page,
right,
you will get all that content coming to you. Whereas sometimes I feel like it's more worldwide when it comes to YouTube.
Yeah, you have to go looking for it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You have to be trying to seek that information in order for it to really be served up, unless you're paying to have it served up. But why would we do that? Because they were all on Facebook. The thing is, they all could have been converted to reels or videos, which Facebook would never delete. And so I feel really sad for, I think it's like maybe almost 170 Facebook Lives that they deleted.
170?
I think so.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of businesses. Do we have that many in town?
We did it a lot. Yeah. I mean, a few we went to more than one time. We just really, really wanted to show people not in Winona. Because here's the thing. Visit Winona's followers primarily are not in Winona on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. And that's not what I would have thought.
And so that was why one of the awards that I got was for transforming their Facebook account, because when I took over, it had no engagement. It was very, 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 very low engagement, like 12 likes on a post. But the posts were all intended for local people. It would say like, oh, Sport and Soul is moving across the street, or so-and-so has got some extra tickets for the show on Friday, or, get this burger special at such and such Thursday. And so when I did a deep dive with my newly minted degree in how to sort out how we should be marketing, I found at that time only 10% of the followers for Visit Winona were in the area.
Oh, wow.
The rest were they were nostalgic followers. They were people who went to school here, their grandparents lived here, they used to live here, they moved away, and they just loved their connection to Winona. And, so our job was to try to entice them to tell their friends about Winona and to invite them back. Because if you have a love for a place, you'll go back to it. If you're trying to, you want to be top of mind, right? If somebody's thinking about where should we go next month for a weekend getaway, I want to be right there, right here in the top of their brain.
Yes.
And so Facebook needed to do that, but it wasn't serving those nostalgic clients at all. And so I transformed it by going to like beauty shots. People, if you look at it right now, people love beauty shots, just gorgeous things. They're like, oh my God, I love that. Or you ask them a question like, do you know what business this is? And people are like, oh, that used to be such and such. Yeah. And that's really the magic of Facebook, at least for tourism marketing. And I think that that's a missed boat for a lot of tourism marketing organizations, is that they're not really understanding what people want from them, and so they default to, here's the special, here's what's happening Thursday, here's what we did. I'm sad to say I see Visit Winona has kind of returned more into that world. Although, the new gal, she's doing a nice job with Reels. That was something that Todd and I used to work with, but then once Todd wasn't there, it's not something that I had a lot of time to do. We did some, but anyway, that's a really evolving success for anybody on Facebook, because Facebook wants to compete with TikTok.
Right.
And so they're serving up, if you do a reel, they're going to show that to way more people than if you just do a post. So,
right. Yes.
So I think the girl, Stephanie, I think she's doing a decent job with that, but as far as losing all of that content for all those businesses that we went into and all the podcasts where we went into all these places, because I would do research for an hour or 2 hours or sometimes 3 hours about a building that we were going into, or the history of a place, And so I would be able to say, yeah, this used to be a brothel. This used to be a funeral home, with an Oriental art studio and half of it. I mean, just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff about Winona that was really fun to dig into, and it's gone,
It's too
and
bad.
I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. And now, the most recent thing to go is the Tourism Awards.
Yeah, I remember you would see that in the post about, hey, vote for your favorite, and then there was categories. I remember that, and it used to be I think it was a full page ad where, and then when if someone would win, or they'd do the top 3. Is that still going, or is that not a thing anymore? It's not a thing. So Brews and Cruise can't make it on there anymore.
Nope, apparently not. The history of that goes back to 2018 also, when I really took the full seat of marketing there.
Okay.
And it was dying. It was basically the partnership committee would choose a business that was a partner. A partner just means you pay for an ad in the visitor guide. And so they would choose a business and give an award to that business. And I think it originally was an evening event, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it was a lunch, and then it was down to a breakfast, and 14 people would go or something. It was just really not successful. And so Kate Carlson, who was running the event at that time, wanted to cancel it. She just said, this is just not, that people don't care about it. And so I said, let me have it, because I do have that strong history in event management, and I love throwing parties.
So do I.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's have a party in here.
Actually, you will be invited to the 2-year podcast party.
Nice.
Because I did one for the 1 year, and then there'll be one for the 2 and 1 yearers to all come here.
Exciting.
And then I cater the food. But that's beyond the point. But I love throwing parties.
Yeah, me too. And so I said, okay, let me have it. We'll turn this into a marketing event. Let's bond the community to our partners. Let's open this up. Let's create categories. Let the community vote on who's going to get these. And then the partnership committee could still cherry pick a business that they felt had really done above and beyond as a partner.
Sure.
But also People's Choice and Hidden Gem Awards that would, a hidden gem would be something like this, right? Or like Remlingers, which I think is a good example of a hidden gem, because if you came to town, you might not necessarily know about it.
Sure.
But it's a great thing, like Anna Cabe's Kitchen over in Goodview, or something like that. Little tiny spots that locals know and they love. Mankato Bar. It's one of my, I call that a little local gem.
Okay.
And so we had award categories for those 2 things. We tried a couple of other categories in the beginning, and they didn't work as well, but those 2 were hugely popular. So we would start with this really long list, 25 businesses, and then we would put it out to the public and say, vote, tell us who, and then we'd get down to a final 5, and then we have a new round of voting, and then I made this a big party for the community. So we had some catering. It would be a place where there was a cash bar, and we would decorate. We went really all in on the Miami, Minnesota once we landed on that brand, and they were just a hell of a lot of fun. And it was the first time really that Visit Winona had an event that fused community with our work, and we need that awareness, right? We need for people to understand how important tourism is, because tourism is a huge economic driver for Winona. But I think a lot of people don't really even know that. But it is tremendous. If you took away every tourist from Winona, every hospitality dollar from Winona, I mean, we would lose thousands of jobs. There's, I think it's something like 2,200 people are employed by hospitality-related businesses that serve tourists.
Sure.
Yeah, we would be in trouble. And so anyway, it was a really great event because we opened it up. We invited everybody. We invited the public to come, and the partners, and the finalists. We wouldn't tell who was going to win, and so they would come, and then they, it was just, the synergy of it was so great. And so from 2018 until, well, this last spring, we were doing that this last spring. So we were through the first round of voting down to our 5 finalists for each category. And that that voting ended the day that I found out that Kate was going to cancel my contract, and I posted on Facebook like, I'm so hurt. Oh my God, I'm hurting so much. And then Kate found out that I posted that. She canceled the tourism event. Her and Marsha Ratcliffe canceled the tourism event. I go, why? What does that have to do with anything? You know, I mean, and we had thousands of votes for our finalists. And how disingenuous for them to, they were out there stomping for it. They were trying to get their people rallied. And then to just pretend it didn't happen and never go through with the event. And the event was in 4 weeks. And they canceled it, which just, to me, is completely baffling. But now that all the videos are gone, all the Facebook lives are gone, and the event went away, in which I was a pretty prominent player in the event. I was calling people up, I was introducing people and things like that. I feel like it's been a pretty systematic erasal of me and every fingerprint I had in the organization. And I don't understand that at all.
It's like they're just trying to wipe the canvas clean and do their own thing.
I mean, but why? You know, like I'm a professional. I met with the new girl for free to onboard her with like all these things. I gave them, I tried to arrange all the passwords, access for everything. Like we don't have bad blood. We shouldn't have bad blood because the only thing I ever said was that she hurt my feelings, So I feel kind of confused. I feel like I'm living in a weird alternate universe right now.
Sure.
Where I don't understand anything that's happening, but I'm still just going to keep doing the right thing.
That's all you can do then.
Yeah, so I'm going to create a new Facebook page. I'm going to upload all those videos again because
I think people like them.
The community deserves it. The businesses that we visited, they deserve it.
So going back to those lives, was there one that really was a fun one that is memorable for you that you did? I know you said you did like 170 of them, so I'm not sure if there's one you can pinpoint, but was there one that was just a memorable one or maybe one that was just fun to do? I might be putting you on the spot because that's a lot of them to go over. But or was there like a type that you like to do more than other types? Like,
here's the thing about the lives. I really, really, really wanted them to be organic, and so oftentimes we would not necessarily, if it was a public enough place, we wouldn't necessarily call ahead and say we're coming there because it's public anyway. We might give them a heads up if it was like the Winona History Center or the library or something like that, that we want to come in there and film. But Winona Health, we actually did their Festival of Trees or their tree, we've done a couple of things there. And so there, you need to give a little bit of a heads up. But most of the time, we just really tried to be kind of man on the street,
Yeah.
And we'd always start outside and talk about the place and then go in and just give people a look around. And so there were so many of them. Gosh, I have to say the ones where people really made me do difficult things are probably, I think climbing Sugarloaf was the most memorable. And here's why. And on my website, my CynthiaPorter.com website, you can see the promo reel for the Facebook Lives that we entered in a contest. I'm remaking that promo reel now because we have better quality videos than some of the lower resolution because we had connection problems.
Sure.
But it goes like this. The second Facebook Live we did, I'm trying to explain the concept, and I say, every week we're going to go wherever he tells us to go. And I scratch my head. I go, unless you say the top of Sugarloaf, because that's probably not going to happen. And then it was like 150 votes in our comments for Sugarloaf. And so the very next one is like, okay, here we are at the top of Sugarloaf. And I'm terrified of heights. And so that's why that was,
okay.
it was a real knee knocker. I was scared. even though there's no reason to be scared, it's so safe because, Eric Barnard is the climbing guru here. He's belaying you, so you can't, even if you want to die, you can't, he's got a hold of you with a rope and you've got a harness and but it was still, I was really scared.
Oh, so you were climbing the face of it. You weren't just walking up the back of it.
No, I climbed it.
Oh, you climbed on the rock.
Like fingernails.
Okay. Sure. And
yeah.
Were you mic'd up and all that while you're doing it and getting videotaped and all that?
I was. My assistant at the time, Emily, who was just this great girl. God, she was such a good sport. And so she actually climbed up ahead of me so that she could film down as I was climbing up.
Gosh.
Oh, and I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown,
Yeah, that's not.
I'm sweating. Yeah, no, you just don't look down. Like you just don't.
Just keep looking up.
Yeah, and Eric, it was really kind of humbling. He was like, "Well, this is the easiest part. This is where we take the kids." I'm like, you know what, Eric, I don't appreciate that.
So we take the kids easy.
Yeah,
over,
and and I'm just But anyway, I can say this from the very top: the view is unbelievable. Also, don't look down.
All right.
Because it's a really, really long way down.
I can only imagine trying to explain it while you're climbing. You're in a very vulnerable
There was a lot
position.
of grunting happening. I mean, there was, and I think a few like, oh my gods, like it was not easy. So you have a rope on, but you have to climb. Like you have to do it with your feet and your hands.
While explaining
yourself. Yeah. Well, I'll just be like, okay, oh God, help me, please, God.
And not to be fond of heights is tough too.
Yeah.
Well, now I want to go on to the next thing, which you talked about tourism, and right now down by the levee, there's a lot of things that are happening, which I'm partial. I think it's awesome. I love seeing new things happening around the levee area because when you go to other towns like Wabasha, you go down right through the river and there's just a bunch of stuff right there. And we have the levee there, which kind of sometimes makes it a little bit difficult, but there's a new hotel, apartment building. We have new restaurants. Great. The brewery looks fantastic. And then we also have the Boathouse, which is a fantastic restaurant in town, which is now kind of up in the air as to what's going on there. And I think you have a little bit of insight on what might be going on because as of today, when we're recording this, it's December 15th. For those who are listening, there is something going to the city council. Is that right?
Yes.
Today about the Boathouse.
Yes.
And some people think that the Boathouse maybe owns that, but they lease it, right?
It's a leased building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, that's a touristy place because I went there, literally I went on my boat. We docked up and then we went there and ate this summer. So I can attest to it. Like I'm not a tourist, but I was a tourist in my own town that day.
Sure.
So give us some insight of what's going on here because I just, in the last week or two, I saw a bunch of uproar that they're trying to phase them out or lease it to someone new.
Well, so that building started as a ticket booth for a riverboat that never actually existed. It was a concept, and then there was some sort of disagreement with the city, so that riverboat, I believe, ended up going down to La Crosse instead. So then the city's got this ticket booth, and they tried different concepts. There for a little bit there was like an ice cream shop or a sandwich shop in there. A lot of time it just sat vacant.
Yep.
And they couldn't get anything really to get any traction inside of there. But what a great spot. So anyway, Lion Smith and a couple of other partners in 2012 put in a bid to the city that they would like to start a restaurant there. And so they did. And they put an industrial kitchen in there, a professional kitchen. Over the years, they also they put in windows, closing it in so that they could serve more than just when it's 80 degrees, you know. And
that's right, that was open, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was all just patio.
Yeah.
And those windows cost them about $50,000.
So the people that leased it actually put their own money into it?
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
$50,000.
That's scary.
I know, right? And so fast forward, bless their hearts for surviving COVID because we lost quite a few restaurants during COVID. And yes, we've replaced them in some cases with other restaurants, which is great. But still, I consider our restaurant as a tourism professional. I consider our restaurant situation precarious. And there are people who might disagree with me, but for years and years and years, the main criticism that I would hear from people about Winona is we didn't have enough good restaurants. And now we do. We've got the Boathouse, Nosh, Heirloom downtown. We just lost Boob's Brewing Company.
I saw
they
that.
closed. We have Sapore di Sicilia, but their larger restaurant concept did not get hold, and so just the cafe is there now. So our restaurants are a huge driver for tourism. People are foodies,
Yes. Yep.
and they want good food, good wine, good ambiance, good service, and so they will travel a long way for that. And the Boathouse, what it brought to us was acclaim. I mean, it had articles written about it. It was winning nominations from travel food writers that we didn't even know. Like, we weren't submitting it. They were just going on fawning over it about how great the food was.
That's awesome.
So great. I mean, we needed that.
Yes.
And it was actually, this was before Nosh, before Heirloom. It was really our first kind of destination restaurant downtown. And so fast forward to COVID, I mean, the hours were really shortened because, that's what happened to everyone. They held on though, and then came back out of COVID and have been, from their pre-COVID numbers. And I know this because I reached out to Lion to talk with him when I saw that something was happening with the lease. I just wanted to understand what's going on. And so I did see their numbers because the city of Winona gets a percentage of every hamburger sold in that place.
And you said that earlier, I think, for the tourism, it was like 4 cents for every dollar or something. So about 4.
That's for hotels.
Okay.
Yeah, that's lodging.
So same thing with food too.
Well, no, the city was getting that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so directly, it's like part of their direct payment to the city.
Sure.
And so they haven't quite climbed all the way back to their pre-COVID levels, but they're getting close. They're getting closer. But then I heard in the spring that the city was going to open up that property for bids for other possible concepts for it. And the restaurant, it's successful. It's well liked. I know some people, including people I worked with at Visit Winona, did not like the counter service option that they went to.
Yeah, it was a little different, but
Sapore di Sicilia's got it and Heirloom's got it. I mean, it's just it's a way to operate a restaurant without having so much overhead. And you still get the table service. They'll still bring you your drink, bring you your food. You don't get a number 56, and you have to go get it. And so they opened it up for bids. But I never really could understand why, because the business was doing well. And the city's got a lot of properties that it leases. For example, Dick's Marina is leased.
Yep.
Anthem Skate Park is leased to a business. These aren't businesses that have property leases, but like Borkowski Towing has got a service contract that goes, I don't know how many decades. And anyway, so there's a couple of others that I'm not thinking of right now. Oh, the Prairie Island Campground. They redid Prairie Island Campground's lease in 2018, but that was prompted by a lot of complaints. The people before that had it for over 20 years, maybe 30 years. It was a really long time. And people were unhappy about it. They didn't feel like it was really serving the community very well as a property, and that it was just underdeveloped as a campground asset for Winona. And so they opened it up for bids. Jamie Schell and his wife, Anne Conway, won the bid for it and have really transformed it. Done a great job with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Prairie Island Campground. They've brought in concerts. They've built structures.
Is that where they have the Boats and Bluegrass Festival? Is that down at the Prairie Island, or is that somewhere else?
So that's at Prairie Island. It's confusing. It's Prairie Island Park is where that Boats and Bluegrass Festival is, but they partner with Prairie Island Campground because what they also sell with the ticket is a camping space.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So they really have to partner up with that. And so it makes sense. If a property is not delivering the way that the community wishes it would, for sure, revisit the lease. Sure. But with the Boathouse, apparently they hadn't gotten any feedback from the city, like they didn't like what they were doing, or they, wish they had more hours, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But so they were going to go through this process, and I am not personal close friends with Lion, Smith, and Victoria, the people who own it now. I mean, we're friendly. I know them, but we're not good friends. But as this came along to the fall, I got a message from Lion's mom, who I know, just also casually, lovely woman. And it was kind of a broad email that she sent out, or not an email, it was a message on Facebook that said, here's the names of the city council. They're going to be making a vote on whether the Boathouse can keep doing business in the property. Could you send a letter to support the Boathouse? And so I just thought, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so I reached out to Lion, and I just said, do you want to talk about this? Because I feel like something doesn't feel right about this. What's happening? Oh my God. And what has sprung from that is just like, if you tap oil and then the guys are just,
Yeah.
This feels like that,
Okay.
where it just, nothing makes sense about it. And some of it doesn't feel good. And so I realize I have other things to do, and I don't work there. They're not my good friends or anything, but I threw myself into it because, I was a newspaper reporter for a decade, and I did a lot of investigative journalism. I wrote stories about the city that really upset them at times. And
that's what happens sometimes. So.
I know, right? You can't hate the truth, though, right? You can not like it, but you can't hate it because it's just true. And so I started poking this with a stick, and I just felt like what was happening wasn't right. Lion had only been getting these 2-year leases for a restaurant that he put $50,000 into.
Sure, yeah.
And then the city said, sorry, I'm moving this.
That's okay.
And then the city said, well, if you leave the property, those windows are ours. And I'm just like, no, I don't think they are. I don't think that they can say it, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, it depends on what their lease would say and all that, because a lot of times when you go in and you gut a place and it's under your lease, it's under your dollar too, and then whatever's left behind is technically probably, I don't know what their lease says.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's a steep dollar amount to put into a place you're leasing. There it goes. You're not the first.
For 2-year leases,
Yeah.
For 2-year leases, it's insane. So I think that they had a lot of faith in the city, that they were putting those improvements in there, and had been talking about they want to enclose those bathrooms, create an access from the inside of the restaurant to those bathrooms, and would pay for that themselves also, Sure. So anyway, fast forward to me reaching out to Lion and just saying, what's going on? And him just saying, I don't know. And so started to try to dig in, and I found out there was one other bidder who I did find out this morning who that is. I'll get to that in a minute.
All right. Breaking news.
It is. Well, next Monday.
Next Monday's breaking news.
This will be next Monday. It'll be already in the paper. But it was an unknown name, just called Pool 6 as a name. But that's not a legally registered name. For a minute, we all thought it was Pool 6 Coffee Roasters, which is Carew Halleck and Beth Halleck.
It's not them.
It's not them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not them. Because, Carew reached out to me directly and just said, hey, this, I realize, Pool 6 is a really unique name, but this is not us. And so, so the problem became, who was on the committee making these decisions? So what happened is the city formed a committee that was going to review both bids and then submit their recommendation to the council, and that was supposed to happen on November 18th, that council meeting. And then it just quietly didn't happen at all. And so that was when I started to get involved and figured out, what's happening? So they had just delayed it for a month without any explanation for why. It's the explanation I've heard since then is that they had trouble seating a committee, which nobody knows how that committee was formed because nobody knows who was asked. But I did hear kind of through my whisper line that there were a number of people who recused themselves who were asked and just said, I'm not able to do that. That feels like a conflict of some kind.
Sure.
And so now fast forward to, these last few days, and nobody could figure out who Pool 6 was, or who was on the committee. And here's the thing. The fact is, and I will absolutely go to the mat and cage fight anybody who tells me it's not true. The membership of that committee is public from the day it was formed. And the reason is that the taxpayers have a right legally to know who's making decisions for them. Mm-hmm. And so if the city wants to extend its authority to a group of ad hoc people, we have a right to know who those people are. Right. Because then we can evaluate their process, what does their conflict of interest situation look like? And to not provide that to the community is very disingenuous. And so anyway, the committee recommendation dropped last Thursday that they were recommending Pool 6, which nobody knew who that was, doesn't have a legal registered business entity. They were recommending Pool 6 to have the lease starting in May instead of the Boathouse. And so then the world just went like, what? This is bananas, because it's not even a business that anyone could find any information about at all. And so how a non-business could beat an established business that's doing well was just a mystery. I mean, it didn't make sense to me or anyone else. One of the concerns is that I personally know that there are a couple of people that I've been able to learn were on the committee who have very direct conflicts of interest with the Boathouse and the other bidder, who I've learned is Jeremy Beck's from Signatures. It's a chef at Signatures. Okay. Who has a restaurant concept that he'd like to bring there. I think he's a good chef. I like the food out there. I have no complaints about it at all. I know Signatures has... Man, they've gone through a lot of struggles, because especially as more restaurants have popped up downtown, I think you got to really just create some magic to get people to drive 2 miles. It's only 2 miles, but
you kind of forget about it too, because it is at a golf course, which is in the winter. You're not thinking about, hey, let's go to what used to be called the country club. Right. You don't think about going that way. And you know what? I live pretty close to it, and I kind of forget about it too sometimes. Yep. But I try to go and patronize all my local places as much as possible. Yeah. So that's who the other bidder is. Yeah. So I guess my question now, just to clarify, the Boathouse wants to be there still.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I assume so because they put so much money into it.
Yeah, and Lion has been very transparent with me. He showed me his bid, and the bid is offering at their own expense to enclose the bathrooms. It's talking about creating more engagement with events happening at the levee to try to interact or intertwine, the Boathouse with more of those things. It's offering very regular hours, which is, I think, that's one of the only complaints that I've heard is as they were coming out of COVID, people were like, I don't know when they're open, they're not open, but...
We don't know that with a lot of places sometimes.
Well, yeah, for
Even
sure.
McDonald's was tough to know. And they're a franchise, worldwide franchise, and you didn't know when they were open or when they were closed.
Yeah. So was that when we lost the McDonald's downtown? Like, how do you close a McDonald's anyway? I don't get that.
I don't know the whole concept behind that. I'm pretty sure my dad probably knows that because we've been trying to sell that building for them. Oh. Because we've had people interested in commercial spots, not just a commercial spot in a good location, I think. But yeah, I remember coming out of COVID, I was like, well, when is McDonald's open? Sometimes they close at 8, sometimes they close at 7, sometimes 11.
Right.
And I think it had to do with staffing issues because nobody wanted to work.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So now they have to bid on this. Are we talking numbers, or is it numbers plus different sorts of stipulations within?
Yes. And so, my concern is this. I think I'm going to drink a lemon.
Yeah, try a lemon. I got you.
Thank you. My concern is this. I don't feel like the process has been transparent enough. I think that committee needed to be made public. Mm-hmm. in fact, legally, it was required to be public information.
Because of our property taxes that went up 13%?
Well, that.
So we're supposed to know.
But really, the public has a right to know who's doing their business. And this
Right.
is why we elect people. And so if the city council has absconded itself from this decision process and handed it to a committee, then we have a right to know who is the committee. And the two people that I know of who were on the committee are not necessarily fans of the Boathouse, but are definitely fans of Jeremy because they worked with him.
Okay.
And so it's just like, what is happening? It's not right. And we don't know who else is on the committee. It was 8 people. We have no idea who else because the city has been reluctant to release it. And I did hear, I heard a whisper that the city was saying to its council members, city staff was saying to the council members that information was protected, and with some kind of random reference to like a personnel issue. No, absolutely not true at all. These are not personnel. They're not city employees. And even if they were, the committee is still public, and all the notes that they created are public. The score sheets are public. The emails from city staff to the committee members are public. Everything's public.
Sure.
I mean, this is, Minnesota law is very clear about the people's business. And they have such extremely narrow guidelines for when a municipality, like a city, can keep things private. And if the city argues that, no, this is private, then they have to provide the exact statute that would support that. And I've read all the statutes. I mean, from when I was a newspaper reporter, I kind of knew this anyway, but just to make sure I was on my right feet, I went through and I read the statutes. I even talked to ChatGPT about it. We had a long conversation. And it's just public. I mean, it's public
Sure.
because you can't hate the truth. If you seat people on a committee and you're worried about backlash against those people, I mean, that's the process.
Mm-hmm.
They are an extension of the city council. When they're making decisions that they send to the city council, they're an extension of the city council, and that is public.
Sure.
Period. So that's what's happening tonight, going
So
into
that's
this
what's
council
going on
meeting.
tonight.
Yes,
Will people know the committee if they go to this meeting?
No, the city has not. I should check my email. I sent a data practices request last week as the minute that I heard that the bid was being recommended to give to the other property. Because the law says the minute that committee made a recommendation, their work is closed and the process is public. That's it.
Okay.
And so there are things they can redact. Like they don't have to share the financial information that a bidder puts in, because I know like Lion had his personal financial information in there and the restaurant's financial information. They don't have to make that public. That's not really germane to the process anyway. But beyond that, there's very, 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 very few things that, like trade secrets. If you could argue something is a trade secret, which would be tough to do for a restaurant because it's a restaurant, but there's very few things you could keep private in that process. But the identities of the people and the way that they were scored based on individual score sheets, not an aggregate score, is public.
So what's going to be happening at tonight's meeting specifically? Is this where they're going to vote
Chaos.
to see?
It's going to be chaos.
Is it?
No.
Well, is this where they're going to be able to see who's getting the bid or who gets it? Is that tonight?
Well, so the expectation from city staff, based on the recommendation that I saw a print copy of, is that they are asking the city council to adopt the recommendation of the committee. That simply, I don't know what exactly beyond that the city council has even seen of the process. I don't know. But I know that the document that they're receiving just basically says the committee suggests Pool 6 get the contract going forward, and that the city needs to enter into negotiations with that entity for the contract, and that they will take possession of the property in May. That's the recommendation that's coming from city staff to the city council tonight. The city council has a public listening session, which is like they allot 15 minutes for it. I don't know how many people are going to show up in this room, but I'm going to take a picture of it, Chris, and I'm going to send it to you because I think it's going to be a lot. I mean, more than 2,300 people have signed this petition.
I was just going to say, I looked at it before you came in.
And there are like hundreds, these posts that I've put, there's hundreds of comments on them and hundreds of shares. People care about this,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had 2 people kind of be critical about me raising the questions, and 500 be just dismayed that this is even a process that's happening right now. So what's going to happen tonight? What I believe is going to happen.
Yeah, where's your predictions? Yeah, because
my prediction is this. My prediction is that the city staff is going to tell the council that they have a legal obligation to respond to the committee's work because they appointed the committee, and that the most appropriate path would be for them to accept the committee's recommendation. That's what they're going to say. And I predict what the council is going to do is either vote it down or not vote on it at all and ask for a review of the process. Either one of those things would be appropriate, but a review of the process at a minimum should happen, because if people are seated on a committee that have direct conflicts of interest, like they worked with one of the people and I mean, it's not a fair process.
Sure, it'd be pretty biased. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Now, and we just talked about this was it change.org? You can go and sign a petition trying to save the boathouse. Is that correct?
Change.org.
Is there any is there any sort of legality where you could save something with so many signatures at all, or is that just more of this is the support that they have at the moment?
Yeah, it's just really an indication for the city council,
Sure.
like, you are not operating under a blanket here. That I just I really feel bad for the boathouse that they're going through this.
Yep.
It's a family operation. Like, half their
Sure.
family works there. It's their sole source of income, and that they were just kind of sitting quietly and taking it because they didn't know what to do. I feel bad about that. And I'm not, like, I don't have some kind of hero complex, but I mean, somebody needed to just say something to the community. And these people are humble. They really are. I mean, Lion and Victoria, I find them to just be quiet and humble people.
Sure.
And I think that they didn't know what to do.
Wow, yeah. How would you be able to predict that? You've been there for 13 years. You just assume that
Right.
as you're sitting
Right.
here and you keep operating and you're successful, that you're just going to
You're paying
keep
your
going.
rent. Yeah, you're putting money into the building.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And
If they're
and-
good tenants, as a landlord, I wouldn't want my tenants to leave. But I guess I don't know the other end of all this.
I want to see those score sheets. I want to see all of the people on the committee, and to understand what could have possibly influenced the score sheets the way that they did, because the other bid outscored on a sum of 800 possible points, overscored the Boathouse by like 38 points out of 800, and I just, I think that this committee would vote for, like I said, I think Jeremy's a good chef. I like the food out there, but that they would vote an untested, unproven concept from someone who does not own or operate a restaurant over a successfully operating restaurant. I am mystified by
Sure.
that. I really am. I mean, maybe there's some kind of devil in the details that I'm not aware of, but this is why the process has got to be transparent.
Sure.
For sure.
Now, question for you. If the Boathouse gets voted down and it goes to the other concept, what do you think the response from the community will be?
Outrage.
Outrage.
Yeah. And also, I think they'll get sued.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
pretty,
a big,
pretty
yeah.
100%. I think so. Yeah.
Who will get sued?
The city.
The city will? Okay.
The city. Because the process is very irregular. The entire process is very irregular. The work of the committee, the whole thing is just not. It's not been conducted in a way that would be normal for a city decision like this, you know?
Okay.
And especially when you look at like Dick's Marina that did not have a contract review for 30 years. And again, just recently got their contract re-upped, and somebody else has been interested in that property and wanted to have a bid process, and the city was like, nah, you know. And so when you have that kind of irregularity in the way that you're running your city contracts, I think that I think you open yourself up for a challenge for sure.
Sure. Well, as we're starting to wind down here, we've just went over a bunch of stuff. This is all Winona related, but this is really good information because the marketing portion that has to happen for every single destination city, because we kind of are one of those. I mean, if people don't, if you're not from Winona, you don't understand that I-90 is like 6 miles up the road from us. So we're not off of the I-90 like a lot of places are. You have to go down into a valley, and that's why we're called the Island City, because we look like a little island next to the river. But you have to go down into a valley. So tourism with, you know, those mini cruise ships coming in are really a big blessing, actually.
Right.
And then with people wanting to come
because a lot of those
here,
people will come back and visit.
Right.
Yeah,
and we've had
they love
people,
it.
they stop by our office because our office is just next door to here, which we're downtown. They go, we're looking for the Watkins Museum. I'm like, oh, it's just right over there. So people do walk from the levee, and they're walking all over downtown.
You know what, Chris?
What?
Can I just insert one self-gratifying thing?
Yeah.
There are quite a number of people who've reached out to me directly and also reached out to Kate Carlson and said that they saw the Facebook Lives and they decided to move here because of it for real.
Move here?
For real.
Wow.
Relocate here. They were looking for somewhere else, and they watched some of the Facebook Lives and like, we like this town.
Yeah, we do have a really cool, unique place in Winona
do.
here. I could do without winter because I love the river. I love being on the boat. I love all the summer activities that go on around here. But we have a unique place that is actually this downtown, and I've said this on multiple podcasts. It's booming. We have new businesses coming, like with the Lafayette. That's a cool place.
Yeah, it's great.
Sippy's has their outdoor patio, which is a new concept that we've never had. You have Two Brothers Restaurant. You have Slice. You have the new hotel, 44 North. The brewery, it looks even better than it ever has now that they did the parking lot for the new hotel apartment building. I remember I went there the other week, and I was standing out there with my wife and my daughter. I go, look how nice this looks. Remember when it was like a gravel
it was terrible.
lot?
You didn't want to park there.
And now it's
and a chain link
blacktop.
fence or something in front of it. Like, it was
3
pretty
railroad
ratchet.
tracks.
Yeah, pretty ratchet.
But is there anything we did not hit that you would like to hit before we end this?
Whew. I mean, Visit Winona, honestly, it's such a great city. It's such a great city. I feel just awful about the politics that are happening with Visit Winona. I don't know what's happening with the city. I don't know what's happening. But that should not cloud the fact that Winona is an incredible town.
Yes.
And I'm going to keep loving it and supporting it, you know, in every way I can. And I'm sure you will too.
Oh, yeah.
But I just, you know, my strongest message, even though I just sat here and bitched for like an hour
and 20-ish minutes.
Yeah. But, you know, but really, it's a great city. And I think that we deserve the people who come here. I hope to God they keep the Miami and Minnesota thing going. I don't think that they will, though.
Please come visit our alligator petting zoo or whatever.
I feel like it's all going away. I feel like that's all going to go away. And that makes me so sad because it was so cool. But, you know, visit MiamiMinnesota.com. You can go see it now before it's, you know.
Well, I'll put it in the show. I'll put in the show notes below for those who want to listen.
It's a little bit of fun.
But the one thing I do know is the Winona community is very passionate about a lot of local places. There might be some bitching about certain things that happen within town. It's to be expected with everyone.
Right.
But I always feel like our Winona community really has its community mom and pop shops. They really want to support them as best as they can, whether it's financially or with their voice. Like I think we're going to hear tonight with the Boathouse. I think that's really going to be something unique. And obviously when this comes out, we'll already know maybe some answers to it or maybe not have any answers yet. Who knows? But I know Winona community really has everyone's back because I had Andre Klinecki on just a couple weeks ago with the Black Horse, and he's rebuilding, and people
that's great.
Really were supporting that too. So it's really great to have that place come back. And there's just some staple points in Winona. And you know, I didn't even realize the Boathouse has been here for 13 years. Mm-hmm. That's really crazy. So that'll be some interesting news coming out here locally for those. But
yeah, stay tuned.
Anything else?
No, I think we got it.
Well, I want to thank
I
you,
think we
Cynthia,
solved
for
all
coming
the
in.
problems of the universe.
We did, at least in Winona's universe. I want to thank you for coming on in. It's been a pleasure having you in here.
Thank
And for those who
you.
are listening, like, share, subscribe, 5-star. Go visit Miami of Minnesota, which is also Winona. And also, I want to give a cheers to Cynthia for coming on in.
Cheers.
We'll see you guys next week, and Merry Christmas.